Good morning or evening, whatever it is. Hey, welcome to the newest edition of, I don't know what we have it called here, I guess videos. So today's lesson is polar coordinates. So let's learn a little bit about them. Oh, not that kind of polar. They're not particularly cold. Okay, little northern lights action there. But the polar coordinate system is to form the polar coordinate system in the plane. Fix a point O called the pole or the origin. O will be the origin. And construct from O an initial ray called the polar axis. Then each point P in the plane can be assigned polar coordinates. R, theta. R will be the radius and theta will be the angle. Look at there, we have that point P. We have our polar axis here. There's our O in a sense. And we have this. R is the directed distance from 0 to P, which is like the radius of a circle in a sense. And theta will be the directed angle, counterclockwise from the polar segment. Basically, it's in standard position. From our trigonometry, that is the angle theta that we are talking about. All right? So let's think of this here. We have our unit circle. Remember all that with the degrees and everything? However, we need to really deal with it, not with that, but with radians, 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 radians. There we go. Yeah. I think you might remember that, our little deal from that. We don't need the thing in degrees, but we actually need it in radians. Radians. Love playing that song to help us remember about radians. Hope you could hear that well enough. But that was the unit circle. Remember all the degrees from it. So polar coordinates are just like it, except for here would be a radius of 1, here would be a radius of 2, and here would be a radius of 3. Okay? And notice we have 0, pi over 6, pi over 4, pi over 3, pi over 2, 2 pi over 3. And it goes around, and it's 2 pi all the way back around. There's a radius of 3, so all that 3 made me think of some different number. So how do we plot the points in polar coordinate? So let's plot the following points. 2 pi over 3, 3 negative pi over 6, and 3 11 pi over 6. Well, basically, think about it. The first point we wanted was 2 pi over 3, so we're going to go to the radius of 2, somewhere on the circle, radius of 2 right there. And we find pi over 3, which is that angle right there, and we put our dot. There's the point 2 pi over 3. That's all we have to do to graph that one. The other one we wanted was 3 negative pi over 6. Well, think about it. Pi over 6 goes up this way, so negative pi over 6 would go down that far, which would put it at the same place as 11 pi over 6, or negative pi over 6, and because it's 3, I'm going to be out on the third circle there at 3 negative pi over 6. Okay? And also, that same point 3 negative pi over 6 is also the same point as 3 11 pi over 6. There are multiple ways we can name that. But 3 negative pi over 6 is how I would represent that dot right there, that point right there. So, as we see all these right here are polar coordinates. And you can see we have positive ones and we also have the negative ones going around our circle like such. Okay? And notice the denominators are the same. One's positive, one's negative. Alright? And here we go.